how are you going, Henry?
Good.
What have you been up to?
I've been running for the Senate. So it's been a pretty intense month, but I've been away for my holidays, went to the Australian Open, and then when I came back to Adelaide about a week and a half ago, I started my Senate bid, where I tried to get delegates to vote for me so that I could fill Simon Birmingham's seat in our Senate.
Oh, great. And what's that been like? And why'd you even do it in the first place?
It's really good. It has been really good. Now, from the very beginning, it was always pretty clear that Leah Blythe, who's the current president, I was going to get the position. This is one of the problems of the Liberal Party, I think, is that the presidents in these different areas, like the presidents for each division, will then try and become the member for that area, when really the president should be doing the admin work of the job. But that's kind of what Liberal Party has always done, is the presidents will get into these things, meet all the delegates, and then they'll try and run for a Senate position. So it was very clear that she was going to win. I thought she'd win by about 140 votes. And there was another guy who ran, Sam Hooper, and then myself. So you'd probably say that Leah Blythe was she was backed by Alex Antic.
Yep.
Sam Hooper was generally backed by the moderates.
Yep.
On average, you'd say. And then myself was just YOLO. Let's give it a good shot.
Backed by
ambition and no, not ambition, I suppose.
backed by passion.
Backed by passion. That's better.
So why did you want to do the Senate? Like, what was the intention for you?
Look, one of the great things that you get to do when you run for the Senate is you get to speak with all the delegates. So I'm not that happy with how the Liberal Party is going in South Australia. I'm not sure what everyone else is thinking, but I actually got the chance to sit down and have really long conversations. One of the things I wasn't expecting was for delegates to be so engaged in the conversation that I had with them. So I'd be having conversations for an hour and a half, and it was from all different groups of people. So some really, really new members who'd been a member of the party for a year less, who'd never voted Liberal in their life, and probably weren't going to vote for Dutton. Not sure if you should be a delegate, in fact. And other members who've been members of the party for like 55 years plus.
Yeah.
So I got this broad range of understanding, and I'm not super happy with the current direction of the party in the state, and also the way that we're approaching the Teals and voting the Greens. So we're approaching the Greens and fighting them, and all these other subdivisions which are now being created. So it seems to me like history is repeating itself. We're going back to this time when we have all these little minor parties, and the Liberal Party is now turning into this conservative voice, which it always should have been.
Yeah.
Now, John Howard always said that the Liberal Party, and the reason why, his viewpoint and vision for the Liberal Party, he put it in his own frame of mind. He said that he was socially conservative and economically liberal. And it seems to me at the moment that as the Teals eat into more and more of the Liberal Party vote, it means then that there's really only this social issue voice, or this conservative voice, that remains in the party. And to me, that's a real problem.
Yeah.
Because we then can't get 51% of the votes overall, because we're fracturing that vote.
Yeah. Okay. So what was it like for you doing it?
I always get really nervous.
Yeah.
So it might not look like that, but it's always... And because I really care.
Yeah.
And I really want it to do well. And I had the opportunity to speak with all the delegates. Like, first of all, what I did was I sent out a whole bunch of emails.
Yeah.
Basically saying this is what I'm passionate about. I'm really, really passionate about tax law, about tax reform, about small government. And I'm as passionate about, in putting in things like a family tax bracket, which would remove millions of trusts and companies from Australia's system and simplify that system massively. I'm as passionate about tax issues as Alex Antic is about social issues.
Yeah.
So we need to bring that voice into the parliament, have a range of people who are passionate about a different number of issues. So that was the first kind of week. And then during that time, I was also calling delegates. So I would be calling from about 9 a.m. in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, and then I'd send out an email.
Yeah.
And during that time, I was preparing a speech as well. Then I went to the state council. The way that the Liberal Party works is that we have a state council. It has about 250 delegates in it, and those delegates come from each of the divisions. So all of the state seats, they have a president. If the members have over 100 members, they get an extra delegate. So in my electorate of Mayo, there's about 500 members or so they'd have like 5 or 6 delegates and the president. And so all those delegates come together, and then they vote on who they want to be the upper house members and also the Senate members. So I ran for the Senate to replace Simon Birmingham, and basically I need to convince they're probably the most influential people within the party. There's probably about 4,000 members or so, and then there's about 240 delegates who represent, or are supposed to represent those 400 members.
Yeah. 4,000 or 400?
4,000.
4,000. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Actually, yeah, you bring up the point about Alex Antic being like a social issue person.
Yeah.
And actually, that makes sense. So I would say like Alex Antic is like the equivalent of like the woke right in the sense where he's only focusing on social issues and not really focusing on anything economically.
Yeah.
It's mostly like, hey, which is good. Like we need that kind of voice.
Yeah, you need that voice.
You need that
for
woke
sure.
right voice. So call him the woke right. But yeah, I think the Liberal Party is missing the economic edge at the moment. Like Australia's economic situation is in absolute tatters, and it's an embarrassment to this country. We should be the most prosperous nation in the world, and we're not having any of that. And we're paying ridiculous prices for gas, electricity. We're paying our Aussie dollar is so weak. We can't even really afford any infrastructure. Like that's how bad it is.
And that's right. And then you see things like the Greens. So the Greens party are now coming up with a whole bunch of housing policies, and they go largely unchecked. So no one's sitting there saying to the Greens, you know, it doesn't matter how much you rent, you cap rent, or you force Airbnb, like people what to do with their properties, like the Airbnb thing. It's a supply side issue. So we can't get enough resources into our country to produce the houses, and we can't build them fast enough based on the level of immigration.
Yeah.
And the problem is that social issues are really important. It's a fundamental part of our society, but we also need to put people in housing.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to focus on the economic issues behind it. That's what I'm really passionate about. That's what I'm very well versed in. Alex Antic can talk about a lot of his concerns.
Stuff, yeah.
But the Liberal Party needs to be in a situation. The only way that we win is we need to have, and the Liberal Party was actually formed on the Conservative Women's Party, who are focused on women's issues. So we need to be able to have farmers. We need to have people who are focused on women's issues, and we need to be able to have people like Alex Antic and myself, who are really passionate about tax law, all standing on the same stage in order to beat Labor.
Yeah. Well, it needs to be prosperity first, social issues second, I believe. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And also another thing is, you know, a strong Liberal Party is good for Australia. We need a strong party for all. So if every party is strong, it's good for Australia, because a party just represents the people. So that means if the Greens are strong, it means we have strong Greens people. If the Labor is strong, we have good Labor people. If the Liberals are strong, we have good Liberal people. So it's like a reflection of our society and where the people are going. But
I'm actually very happy for there to be a weak Greens party.
oh yeah,
if the Communist Party of Australia is weak as possible, that'd be great.
but I'm not sure about that.
But it's a contest of ideas. So
Yeah.
people need to be able to put their ideas in the best way forward.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing now is this fracturing of the Liberal Party base.
Yeah.
And that base is not just Conservative people. It's not just the 10% of people, because they're actually going to One Nation. It's Teals, it's One Nation, it's the Libertarians, it's the Country Party, it's the Christian Party, it's the Liberal Democrats. All these people need to come together in order to beat Labor, because the Labor philosophy of communism, this idea that the government is going to look after you, it's going to take care of all your problems, you don't need to worry, you don't even negotiate with your employer, you can't get fired, you're going to get free food, free housing, free money. It's very, very enticing, and the Liberal Party needs to be able to offer a real alternative. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I don't feel like the Liberal Party is offering a real alternative at the moment.
Yeah.
Now, federally, absolutely, I think Dutton's got a really good plan, but we need more of those policies that and more of that explanation over a period of 3 years, where we're explaining the holes in the Labor philosophy, the holes in the Greens philosophy. Oh, one thing they hate is the Greens. You call the Greens a Labor Greens coalition, they lose their mind.
Yeah.
And they have the dominance in the Senate. So you've got Robert Simpson at state level talking about housing issues, but he won't accept that the Greens were responsible for this mass immigration. And he said, oh no, it's the Labor Party's fault. Well, no, you have control with the Labor Party in the Senate. So if you voted against it, the Labor Party would lose.
Yeah, the Greens caused the housing crisis problem.
Yeah.
It's 100% clear on that.
Yeah, they're a coalition. They did it together.
And you know, if you keep letting Labor do this, I mean, a broke government can't take care of its people.
No.
So, anyways.
Yeah.
But the reason I invited you over tonight, because, you know, I didn't get to be at the pre-selection myself, but I'd love to hear your speech, and I'm sure all of the Adelaide set followers would love to hear your speech. Do you mind reading your speech?
Yeah, I can read my speech.
Great. I'll
normally have a lectern so I can put it somewhere, but...
Oh, it's alright. You can just read it normally. I want to just hear.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. I might put it here, I think that.
No, just hold it because it's cool. It's more legit.
Okay.
You know, it's like a school project or something.
Oh, like a school...
You know, like when you hold the thing up, like a uni project.
I love my cat because
Okay,
Australia is the best country in the world.
let's hear it. You guys, the exclusive pre-selection speech. Take it away, Henry. Let's
Thank you.
hear what you're about.
Now, yeah. So this is to a room full of the delegates of the Liberal Party. All right.
Cool.
Communism, socialism are extremely enticing propositions. It means free money forever. It means free food. It means free housing. It means you'll never have to worry about your job. You'll never have to negotiate again for it. The government is going to take care of everything for you. And you'll live in a utopia. That is the communist guarantee. And this communist utopia sounds absolutely amazing and it's enticing. And I've got to say that year on year, the Labor Party is delivering on this dream of a communist utopia. However, there's one issue with the communist utopia. And
what's that, Henry?
That is that it results in one thing. Results in just mass death. About 98 million people have died under the hands of communism and under this idea of a communist utopia. Now, Menzies, a founder of the Liberal Party, understood that very well. Now, he was the leader of the United Australia Party, and he brought together 18 different parties to form the Liberal Party originally in Canberra. There was no unifying policy that brought them together. It was a recognition of the destructive nature of the Labor Party that brought all of these minor parties together to form one strong Liberal Party to oppose the Labor Party. Now, the Liberal Party is at a crossroads, and tonight I want to ask you all a question. It's a question that will not just define the future of our party as you see it, but the future of the Liberals in our state and our country. What kind of party do we want to be in? Do you want to be in a party that's at war with itself, a party that has shrunk into irrelevance, that picks over the remains as factional battles occur to try and pick over the remaining seats in the upper houses? Or do you want to be a party that unifies, grows, and wins? We must recover the entirety of our voter base who now place their trust in One Nation, Centre Alliance, and the Teals. Because let's be clear, we absolutely must win. We need to win not just for ourselves or for our own personal ambitions, but for the millions of South Australians who are out there who are counting on us to offer a real alternative to Labor's big government, high taxing, low opportunity, communist vision of our future. So how are we going as a party? Well, this pre-selection process has been extremely valuable, and I've been able to speak with members who have been members of our party for some 55 years, and I've also been able to speak with members who have never voted Liberal in their life and have told me that they don't intend to vote for the Dutton federal government as well. Now, from these discussions, there has been one resoundingly clear theme. We're not doing very well at all. Our primary vote has been slipping. Our broad membership base is shrinking, becoming narrow, and our divisions aren't just deep, they are chasms. So if we do nothing, I fear that we will wake up at the next election to find that the Liberal Party in South Australia is no longer a force at all. So I say it is time to do things differently. Now, what is our path forward? Well, it seems very clear to me, and that is unity. We must rebuild the broad church that made this party great. Menzies and Howard knew that the party needed conservatives, that the party needed moderates, and the party needed libertarian voices to ensure it remained rooted in the fundamental principles of freedom. Because make no mistake, when libertarian voices disappeared from this party, so did our small businesses, so did our young entrepreneurs, so did the Australians who wanted the government to get out of their way, and people who wanted to stand on their own 2 feet stopped following the Liberal Party. Now, we no longer speak to these people, so they have stopped voting for us, and we cannot afford to let this continue. So tonight, I'm asking you if you will restore balance. Will you help fix the Liberal Party to its rightful place as a party of hard work, a clear vision for Australia, and real results? I'm ready to get off the bench and into the game. I'm ready to take the fight to the enemy, and not the enemies within the Liberal Party. This real enemy we have forgotten about, this Albanese Labor Party, the Greens and the Teals, and everyone else who wishes to entrench victimhood in our society. So I'm asking for your support tonight, delegates, to make this happen, because it's not just about me, this is about all of us. This is about the future of this party. This is about the future of our state and the future of our nation. With a broad church, a united party, we can restore our Liberal Party to its former strength and once again unite under Australia, under a common banner. A vote for me is a vote for unity. A vote for me is a vote to win.
Great. That was great.
So
So how was the reaction in the room with that speech? Because that first part, I was like, "Oh shit, what's going on here?"
I was actually in the holding room, and I read the first couple of sentences. Communism, an extremely enticing proposition.
Yeah.
It means free money, free this, free that. Now the delegate's like, "You sure about that?"
Do it.
I stopped right before that. It also means death bit. And so
Deaf, like I can't hear.
Yeah.
You can't hear shit.
Look, I think it.
98 million deaf people.
I thought a lot about what I was going to say. I only wrote it about an hour before I went into the pre-selection.
Oh wow.
I had a lot to think about what the party needed and what it needed now. And to me, it needs everyone to come together. And I can see, like, from talking with a lot of Liberal Party members, is there's so much division internally. We're fighting ourselves, and we've kind of we've stopped fighting the Labor Party because we fight over these upper house seats. And there's a lot of this, trying to get these delegate spots, trying to get these upper house seats. And the way to win government is to tell everyone and explain how bad the Labor Party is. And I just don't feel like we're showing up and attacking the Labor Party on their really, really dangerous ideas. Yeah. And I think it's fertile ground. And a lot of people say to me, you know what? Malinauskas is untouchable. We can't tear any shreds off him. Or mainstream media are, we're finding it too hard to cut through. It's just ridiculous, because I remember on the spin cycle, David Bevan, who was a presenter for the ABC, he's literally sitting there on the spin cycle talking to the other journalists saying, look, Liberal Party, you don't show up. I've asked you every single week to come to interviews, and you're not there. You're not talking to anybody.
Yeah.
And you're not telling us why the Labor Party's policies are bad. And he's really frustrated, because he's saying, look, it's not my job to attack the Labor Party. It's not my job to have another voice. And he felt like he was doing the heavy lifting for the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
Whereas it really should be the Liberal Party showing up to the ABC every single time, pushing back on these philosophies and advancing our own proposition.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there are some serious issues. And as I said before, a strong Liberal Party is good for the country. Right now, we have a weak Liberal Party. So the country is in dire straits, if that makes sense. It's like, we need that push.
We've had a lot of the old guard leave.
Yeah.
Like Downers, Pines, Julie Bishop, I suppose Frydenberg to an extent. A lot of those senior people who are the big voices for the Liberal Party have really disappeared. We've got a really good leader.
The only problem is those leaders, I feel like, came in, kind of messed it all up, and then left.
Well, yeah, and that's the other criticism, is that I was saying how much I respected these leaders, but they were also engaged in this kind of
since
factionalism
Malcolm
as
Turnbull,
well.
I reckon since Malcolm Turnbull's taken over, Liberal Party's turned to shit. In my opinion.
Yeah.
Like not, and I don't say I don't. It's not like I don't like Malcolm Turnbull.
Who was before Malcolm Turnbull?
Was it? Was it Kevin Rudd or some shit?
No, I mean the Liberal leader.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. But anyways, I just feel like Malcolm Turnbull was like a real turn point. It felt like it galvanized poor leadership. Like, as in, I think they were great spokespeople. Like, they presented well, they looked well, but they weren't like there for the right reasons. If that makes sense. Like, they didn't feel like
we've got to come to an agreement. And the reality is that when you take 18 different parties, Country Party, Women's Party, Young Nationalists, the United Australia Party, you bring all these voices together. You know what? They are not going to they're going to disagree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're combining a conservative voice, which is civilization versus barbarism, and a libertarian voice, which is freedom versus tyranny, you're going to have this situation where internally you're going to have disagreements.
Yeah.
But you need to agree on a compromise for that.
Yeah.
We can't be having a situation where the members are attacking each other publicly, because we're just doing the job for Labor. Yeah. Now, the Liberal Party, history can repeat itself. The Liberal Party can become this conservative voice and only talk about civilization versus barbarism.
Yeah.
Or it can say, you know what, we want to cover the entire field and gather everyone who's not Labor and everyone who doesn't want to see victimhood entrenched in our society.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what we need to do as a party, and realise that, you know what, they're really, really going to disagree, but the real enemy is Labor and the real enemy is the Greens. And so at the end of the day, we must come up with a situation where we're holding each other all up.
I don't agree on a lot of stuff John Howard did, but John Howard represented strength, courage.
Yeah, and he met with the factional leaders every single time, every week.
Yeah.
He went through the policies, and he made it so that the policies that were being advanced, everyone could get on board
Even though
with.
you took my guns away, John Howard, I swear I'll never forgive you. I'll never forgive you, but still.
I mean, you can get guns if you want. Like,
I
if
know,
you really
but
want a
like,
shotgun,
we could have had ARs and stuff. It was sick, and then he ruined it all.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I don't like about him.
Yeah, a lot of
And
people
the
don't
war.
like that.
Also, us trying to war, that was pretty bad.
But the reason why he kept winning...
At least he was strong. That's my point is, like, even
Yeah.
if he did make these mistakes, in my opinion, that some other people would disagree, he was still, like, the branding of John Howard, strong, powerful,
He did a lot.
courageous, and intelligent.
He did a lot more than...
It's the last Liberal leader I remember who I actually am, like, semi-proud of.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not proud of Malcolm Turnbull. I'm not proud of, what's his name?
Morrison.
Yeah, Morris. I don't go...
Well, I suppose that's the point, right? Morrison was this very big
Peter Dunn's probably the
conservative...
closest thing I've got to that. But even Peter Dunn, like, he still, like, wants to support who. He still wants to, like... He's still, like, kind of doing Labor's work. I get it. Because we don't have all this, like... We would need to come together at some point. Labor and Liberal need to come together and make things happen. Otherwise, we're just going to have a country that's completely split all the time and never get anything done. I get that.
I see Dutton as being the best leader in terms of being able to unite the party under a common banner.
Yeah.
And I do think that he's a very strong leader.
Yeah, he
I
is.
think that he's going to be able to stand up to Trump, and Trump respects strength.
Yeah.
I don't think Albanese is going to be able to cut a deal with Trump.
Yeah.
And so I think the best situation for Australia would be to have Dutton there to be able to make that deal for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
I think out of the Senate wrap up as well, there was an opportunity for me to speak with The Guardian.
Yeah.
Now, The Guardian's often seen as this, woke lefty media.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. And so is ABC. Yes, they're biased towards the left. But a lot of conservatives, a lot of middle Australians, and a lot of the woke read this newspaper and they read that publication. So whenever we have an opportunity to take the fight to Labor and actually put a point forward to say, hey, wokeism and all of this kind of attacking cis white males, things like that is not on, and we need to be an inclusive society, we should take every single opportunity we can to advance that point.
Yeah.
Now, The Guardian contacted Alex Antic for a comment, and he didn't just say no comment. He went out of his way to say, I couldn't be bothered talking to The Guardian.
Yeah.
To me, that's a real problem because there's an opportunity there to reach people from outside of that echo chamber. Yeah. And everyone has their own little echo chambers. So we can't afford to just be playing it safe all the time and only be surrounded. Yeah, be in a safe space.
Alex Antic, the safe space king.
Yeah, you can't afford to be in a safe space in politics. You have to go out and convince people
we have to plant seeds
to vote for you.
We need to plant seeds, even in the most extreme left, because say there's 100 vote left, you plant some seeds, maybe you take one away from them. That's one extra person.
1% wins elections.
Exactly. Yeah,
1% is what wins elections. So when The Guardian contacted me, I was very happy to give a quote, and I said that I'm always happy to speak with The Guardian. And what that's saying is to the people who read The Guardian, who are conservatives, who are moderates, who are Centre Australia, who are the woke. It's a broad section. It's a free publication. I'm saying to them, I want to have a conversation with you and I want to engage with you.
Even if we disagree.
Yeah, even if we disagree.
On all the things.
Yeah. And so I think that Alex is very effective, but he needs to go out and convince these people and get that 1%.
Yeah.
And that's a really important job. And you see that guy in America who goes onto the campuses, and he will actively encourage people who disagree with him to come and have a debate.
Yeah.
And his view is that as soon as we stop debating, people start dying.
Yeah.
And he's able to sit there and advocate for more conservative policies, like his anti-abortion. He says under no circumstances, even for rape, for example, that he's not. But he's not going to shy away from those discussions. He's going to put forward his view.
Out there.
He can have a conversation. They make a good argument. He makes a good argument, and you're going to have that conversation. And little by little, people understand each other more, and we're going to win more votes as a party.
Yeah. Great. Well, we'll end on that note, and
you can do your vote, like, and subscribe bit.
Oh yes, guys. If you like this, if you want more content, make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you check out Henry's Instagram. Was it Henry at .r.davies?
No, it's just Henry Davis CR.
Oh, okay. Henry Davis CR.
You told me to do that.
Yeah, I know, but it's, there's a lot going on right now. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So make sure you follow his Instagram account. I'll put it here. I'll put a little. And yeah, make sure you sub. Thank you, guys.